OpenAI will initially only release ChatGPT 5.6 to government-approved customers. California launched a tracker for AI-related job losses. And the most popular Grok feature is exactly what you think. It's Friday, June 26th, and here's a quick look at some of the news happening in and around tech this morning from Engadget. You may not be able to use the new ChatGPT 5.6 as soon as it's finished. According to a report in The Information, OpenAI plans to stagger the release of its new AI model, and the first users will only be parties that are approved by the federal government. The publication's sources said that according to a staff memo from CEO Sam Altman, federal leaders will be approving access customer by customer during this preview period, hopefully followed a couple of weeks later by a more general release of the 5.6 model. Altman told employees in a memo, "We've made clear to the U.S. government that this is not our preferred long-term model, and we'll work with them and others in industry to achieve a more sustainable approach for future releases." Several agencies appear to be involved in directing the change in course from OpenAI. The information cited interactions with the Office of the National Cyber Director and the Office of Science and Technology Policy, as well as involvement from Department of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Neither the White House's nor the Office of the National Cyber Director's representatives replied to the publication's requests for comment. Now, President Donald Trump signed an executive order earlier this month asking AI companies to participate in a voluntary federal review of their more powerful models before they are publicly released. The government is expected to create a framework to standardize how it will assess new models. Shortly after, however, OpenAI rival Anthropic disabled all access to two of its recent models following a federal directive. That order did not provide specifics around its security concerns, only that the government wanted to block access to Anthropic's tools for any foreign nationals. Between that instance and this additional stage to OpenAI's latest rollout, there still appears to be a fair bit of confusion around how the review process will work and just how voluntary it is. California has launched a new portal which tracks AI-related job losses in the state. According to the Office of California Governor Gavin Newsom, it's meant to serve as an early warning system for widespread job cuts due to artificial intelligence, allowing the government to proactively determine where inventions may be needed the most. The website says Newsom's office worked with the California Employment Development Department, as well as with the California Policy Lab at the University of California, to conduct research to measure AI-related job losses. They use unemployment insurance claims data combined with AI exposure measures to come up with the figures in the tracker. Anybody can see the data for themselves, and the tracker will be updated monthly. Now, as Bloomberg noted, the tracker was built during a time when there's increasing pressure on authorities to be more proactive when it comes to AI-driven job loss. Politicians are keen on being seen as a champion of the masses against AI, even more so for politicians in California, where many big tech companies are based. Newsom, who's believed to be running for president in 2028, recently signed an executive order requiring state agencies to develop plans for offsetting AI's effects on California workers. The tracker will let you see potential AI exposure by different groups, such as age, education, gender, industry, race, and ethnicity, as well as by region. For instance, people in the 25 to 35 age group seems to be the most vulnerable to AI-related layoffs. Females more so than males. According to researchers who studied the data used by the tracker, however, it should not be used as a definitive guide. The tracker cannot actually determine whether particular jobs were eliminated due to AI, and the trends seen in it could be caused by other economic factors. xAI has long promoted Grok as a racier kind of chatbot with fewer of the guardrails of other AI companies. Now, we've seen that play out in some disastrous ways over the last year, but now we're gaining some insight into why the company has leaned so hard into that strategy, despite some veritable PR disasters. It turns out that NSFW activities account for well over half of Grok's traffic. That's according to a new report in the information that cites two former employees of the SpaceX-owned company. That includes using Grok to generate actual porn, as well as adult role-play chats and huge volumes of requests for erotica. Grok's users have even apparently discovered that it's cheaper to channel such requests through the company's models intended for writing code because those are cheaper to use. The report says that an internal analysis found that a significant proportion of requests to its coding model were for porn or nude images. All that would suggest that SpaceX can attribute a decent amount of XAI revenue to porn and adult content. Though the role of NSFW material in the company's bottom line was somehow omitted from the company's IPO paperwork, SpaceX told potential investors that Grok's more irreverent features were a potential risk. It said it had set aside $530 million to deal with potential legal costs. The report also laid out some of the ways that this has complicated things inside of the AI company. For one, XAI engineers had to figure out how to enable Grok to have sexy chats with users while blocking any prompts that might veer into child sexual abuse material. There were apparently no quick fixes for that dilemma. Some employees were also less than thrilled with being assigned to work on Annie, Grok's NSFW anime-inspired avatar companion. Others were reportedly embarrassed and disturbed by the ensuing scandal after Grok created a bunch of sexualized images of real people, including children. X later limited the ability to create racy edits out of images of real people using Grok directly on the platform, but paid subscribers to XAI can still generate such material. There are other potential challenges that could arise from Grok's focus on R-rated material. XAI has aggressively pursued government contracts and has inked deals with various agencies and the military, institutions that you might typically expect to have a very low tolerance for anything remotely NSFW. But while Grok's very public earlier dalliances into non-consensual deepfakes and CSAM have prompted numerous lawsuits and investigations, it's not clear if those incidents have had any impact on its relationship with the federal government. Thanks for listening. There's more tech news at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism from Anna Washenko, Mariella Moon, and Carissa Bell. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back on Monday with more tech news from Engadget.